I didn't realize I was being erased from the industry I helped build, until my emails stopped getting replies. That's how it started. Quietly. No explosions, no drama, just silence. My name's Evan Cruz, co-founder of BrightWave Marketing, one of the fastest growing digital agencies in Los Angeles. At least, it was mine, until my former business partner, Lena Ward, decided that one name was easier to market than two. We met 6 years ago at a startup networking event. I was the quiet strategist, the numbers, the data, the behind-the-scenes guy. Lena was the face, charming, sharp, and magnetic. Together, we were unstoppable. She pitched the dream. I made it real. We built BrightWave from a 2-person operation in a rented co-working space into a firm handling 7-figure accounts. For a while, it felt like we were family. Then, the awards came. So did the magazine features, the podcasts, the influencer shoutouts, all with her name attached. I didn't mind at first. Lena always said, "You're the brains, Evan. I'm just the brand." I believed her. Until the day my login credentials stopped working. I thought it was a glitch. Then the accountant called. "Evan, your name's not on the business registration anymore. It's just Lena Ward, sole proprietor." That's when the unease started, the kind that crawls under your skin and refuses to leave. I confronted her that night in the office. She didn't even look surprised. "You're overreacting," she said smoothly, typing away at her laptop. "I'm restructuring for efficiency. Your equity's secure." But the next morning, I found out I'd been locked out of our shared drives, client chats, and bank accounts. My access, my entire identity in the company I helped build, was gone. The final blow came when I tried to line up new clients after leaving BrightWave. Every call ended the same way, an awkward pause, a vague excuse, and a quick hang-up. A friend from a rival firm finally told me the truth. "Evan, word is going around that you stole client data. Lena's been warning companies not to work with you." A smear campaign. A blacklist. I sat in my empty apartment that night, staring at the glowing city outside my window, my name already turning into a ghost in inboxes across Los Angeles. But what Lena didn't realize, what no one realized, was that I still had something she didn't. The strategy. The systems. The secrets that made BrightWave unstoppable. And if she wanted me gone, I'd make sure she'd regret ever crossing me. Still, as I drafted my plan, one thought kept me awake. How did she move so fast? Almost like she'd been preparing for this all along. Looking back, the warning signs were there long before my name disappeared from the company registry. It started small, little shifts I brushed off as growing pains. BrightWave was booming, and with every new client came chaos, bigger projects, late nights, endless emails. I told myself that tension was just the price of success. But sometimes, success smells like smoke before it burns. The first red flag came when Lena started holding private meetings. At first, I didn't think much of it. She said they were investor calls, nothing worth your time, Evan, just networking stuff. But when I overheard one of them through her office door, I caught fragments that didn't sit right. "No, he doesn't need to be in on this yet. Trust me, I'll handle him." I remember standing there, frozen in the hallway, telling myself I must have misheard. Lena was blunt, sure, but she'd never hide things from me. Then came the favoritism. She hired her college friend, a guy named Marcus, as our new strategic lead. Suddenly, all my reports started going through him before they reached her desk. Marcus had a slick smile and a habit of calling me the analytics guy, like I was some backroom technician. Lena laughed it off. "Don't take it personally, Evan. Marcus just has a different communication style." Still, she started giving him my projects, ones I'd spent weeks developing. When I brought it up, she said it was delegation. I told myself to let it go. After all, she'd believed in me when no one else did. Right. But the biggest red flag was money. One Friday afternoon, I was reconciling invoices when I noticed a client payment that didn't match our books. $50,000 had been rerouted to a new account, one I didn't recognize. When I asked Lena about it, she barely blinked. "Oh, That's for a new partnership initiative. Temporary transfer. No receipts. No documentation. Just her word. Something in her tone, the calm confidence, the rehearsed casualness, made my stomach knot. I'd seen that look before. It was the same one she used in client pitches when she was bending the truth just enough to make the deal sound perfect. After that, I started losing sleep. I'd wake up at 3 a.m., refreshing my inbox, double-checking client lists, trying to prove to myself that everything was fine. That Lena wouldn't betray me. But each time I looked at her, smiling across the office, calling the team her BrightWave family, a cold doubt grew stronger. Maybe it wasn't paranoia. Maybe it was instinct. And if my instincts were right, then Lena wasn't just making business moves behind my back. She was setting up the board for something much bigger. Something I wouldn't see coming until it was too late. The truth didn't hit me all at once. It bled through the cracks, one lie at a time. It started with a client. Atlas Tech, one of our biggest accounts, suddenly pulled their campaign without warning. I called their director, someone I'd worked closely with for months. He hesitated before speaking. "Evan, we were told you're no longer with BrightWave. Lena said you took confidential data when you left." My throat went dry. Left? I repeated. I haven't left. But when I logged into our company system to check the project files, my credentials were rejected again. This time, permanently. I tried my backup admin access. It was gone too. My inbox. Wiped clean. My name, my projects, my credentials, all deleted. I wasn't an employee anymore. I was a ghost. Panic turned to fury. I stormed into the office that same day, heart pounding, ready to confront Lena face to face. She was calm when I walked in, almost expecting me. "Evan," she said softly, "I was going to call you." I laughed, sharp, bitter. "You were going to call me? After you erased me from my own company?" Lena sighed, leaning back in her chair, her designer blazer crisp and spotless, as if she'd planned for this moment down to the last thread. "Evan, this isn't personal. You've been distracted, unfocused. The clients were losing confidence. I had to make a decision." A decision. My voice shook. To destroy my career. Her eyes hardened. To protect the business. My business. And that's when it hit me, the final betrayal. She had filed paperwork weeks ago, transferring full ownership of BrightWave marketing to herself. My equity, my stake, everything I'd built, it was gone. She hadn't just taken the company. She'd rewritten history to erase me from it. "I built this with you," I said quietly. "Every client, every campaign, none of this exists without me." "Then build something else," she said coldly. "You're talented, Evan. You'll land on your feet." She smiled as if she were doing me a favor. I left before I said something I'd regret. The elevator ride down felt endless, my reflection in the mirrored walls looking back at me like a stranger, someone stripped of purpose, dignity, everything. But rage has a strange way of clearing your vision. When I stepped out onto the street, I knew one thing. Lena thought she'd buried me. She thought the blacklist, the rumors, the erasure would be enough to kill my career. But she'd forgotten who built the foundation she was standing on. She might have taken my name off BrightWave, but she couldn't take the fire she just started inside me. And that fire was about to burn everything she built to ash. 4 days after Lena's betrayal, I felt hollow. I'd wake up, stare at my phone, and scroll through messages that never came. Clients I'd once spoken to daily had gone silent. Recruiters who'd once chased me now didn't have openings that fit my profile. Every door I knocked on closed faster than the last. The blacklist was real, and it was working. Word travels fast in marketing, especially when the whispers come from someone like Lena Ward. She was charming, respected, the face of BrightWave. I was just the numbers guy, the one no one ever saw on the magazine covers. So when she told people I'd stolen data, they believed her. At first, I tried to clear my name. I sent emails, made calls, even scheduled a meeting with a former client I thought was loyal. He looked uncomfortable the whole time. "Evan, I believe you," he said quietly. But BrightWave's still managing our campaigns. If we're seen talking to you. He didn't need to finish. That was the day I realized I wasn't just erased. I was radioactive. I went home, sat in the dark, and let the anger boil. But underneath it all was grief, the kind that gnaws at you when something you love turns its back on you. BrightWave wasn't just a company. It was my life's work. Every campaign, every late night, every risk, I had built it from scratch. And now it was hers. That night, I almost gave up. I opened my laptop, hovered over my resume, and considered applying for some mid-level analytics job. Safe. Forgettable. Maybe that was all I'd ever be. Then something unexpected happened. While digging through old files, I found an archived folder. One Lena must have overlooked when she locked me out. Inside were my original project blueprints, automation models, brand pitch frameworks, data pipelines, systems that I had created. The backbone of everything BrightWave ran on. I sat there, scrolling through the code, the presentations, the designs. My work. My mind. My fingerprint. That's when the fog started to lift. Lena could take the company name. She could poison my reputation. But she couldn't erase what I knew. All the strategies, the data insights, the formulas that made BrightWave powerful, they lived in my head. That realization hit like a surge of electricity. I didn't need to beg for a place back in the industry. I could build my own. Not to prove myself to her. No, this wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about reclaiming my worth. I closed my laptop, heart pounding, and whispered to myself, if they won't work with me, I'll make them work for me. That night, I sketched the first outline of my new company on a napkin at my kitchen table. It wasn't much, but it was mine. And this time, no one was taking it from me. I didn't run on rage anymore. Rage is wildfire. What I needed was a scalpel. I spent a week buried in legalese and caches. The archived folder I'd found wasn't the only oversight. Backups, cached emails, dormant project servers, little fossils of my work, were scattered across forgotten logins and personal drives. I rebuilt timelines, who approved what, when the account reroutes happened, and the exact timestamps of the ownership transfer. Each timestamp was a nail in the coffin of Lena's story that I'd vanished. Next came the blacklist itself. I built a map of whispers, copies of emails where Lena subtly warned prospects, voice notes where Marcus coached staff on the narrative, and a chain of messages between an outside PR consultant and Lena discussing reputational damage control. The more I dug, the less it looked like a desperate scramble and the more it looked like a planned operation. I reached out to 3 people off the record. A client who'd been quietly unhappy with BrightWave's new direction, an ex-employee Marcus had bullied into silence, and a tech journalist with a nose for corruption. I didn't ask for loyalty. I asked for proof to be seen. People who'd been burned by Lena's charisma were, ironically, my strongest advocates, because they remembered how things used to be when I handled campaigns. While I was collecting evidence, I built Nova Pulse, lean, focused, and centered on the automation frameworks I designed. I started with microservices and one pilot client, the disgruntled client from Step 3. The pilot wasn't just a product. It was a demonstrable difference in performance metrics I could point at when credibility mattered. I seeded 2 controlled leaks. One was a small, verifiable piece of data, an internal invoice pointing to the rerouted account, sent anonymously to the journalist. The second was social, a staged coffee chat post signed NDAs with a former BrightWave strategist, hinting at internal unease. Both moves were calibrated to force Lena to react publicly. To show her hand, I waited until NovaPulse pilot saved a client 6 figures and the journalist had corroborated the invoice trail. Then I let the story breathe, documented proof, performance metrics, and voices of people who'd been silenced. It wasn't about destroying her, it was about restoring the truth in a way that couldn't be gaslit away. All the while, Lena played her role beautifully. She published op-eds about leadership, smiled through investor dinners, and posted team photos that screamed normalcy. Marcus sat at her side in every public appearance, polished and untouchable. From the outside, she was winning. Inside my chest, every tick of the clock sounded like a countdown. I checked my notes once more, timestamps, receipts, witness names. Everything had to be bulletproof. Because if any single piece failed, The blacklist would snap back into place and bury me for good. The next week would decide whether my careful plan would be surgical, or whether Lena's last, desperate move would turn the scalpel back on me. It all came down to a single morning. The day BrightWave was set to unveil its biggest contract yet, a multi-million-dollar partnership with Atlas Tech, the same client Lena had stolen from me. Cameras, press, investors, everyone who mattered in the industry was watching. Lena had even booked a downtown hotel ballroom for the event. I was watching too. Not from the sidelines, but from the control room. Step 1 of my plan had already been executed weeks ago. The journalist's exposé, carefully delayed for maximum impact, was scheduled to drop 1 hour into her presentation. I had given him everything: the doctored invoices, the time-stamped ownership transfer, the blacklisted emails. Proof that BrightWave's meteoric rise was built on lies and theft. The article went live at 10:37 a.m. By 10:42, phones were vibrating across the room. Screens lit up. Lena's smile faltered mid-sentence. She tried to keep speaking, but the whispers started. The journalist's tweet thread was already trending. Police cars revolving light exclusive. BrightWave marketing accused of blacklisting ex-co-founder after illegally seizing ownership. Evidence points to financial misconduct by CEO Lena Ward. The big screen behind her, ironically set to display the company's transparency pledge, flashed as someone projected the article for all to see. Marcus jumped up, trying to cut the feed. Too late. Step 2 was unfolding live. I had timed the second blow with cruel precision. My own announcement video, pre-scheduled and polished to perfection, went live on Novapulse site and every major platform. "You can steal a name," my voice said over footage of campaign analytics and client logos, "but you can't steal innovation." It ended with the tagline, "Novapulse, founded by the mind that built BrightWave." The industry gasped. The timing was surgical. Within minutes, BrightWave's investors were pulling out. Clients were demanding answers. The journalist posted a follow-up, screenshots of internal messages, proof that Lena and Marcus had spread false accusations to blacklist me. Her empire was crumbling in real time. I watched from a nearby cafe, heart pounding, as the livestream showed Lena trying to maintain composure. She called it a misunderstanding. She promised to clarify with legal counsel. But every word only made her sound guiltier. By noon, her name was trending, not as a marketing icon, but as the CEO who sabotaged her own partner. And me. Novapulse inbox was exploding. Old clients were reaching out, journalists requesting interviews, investors offering meetings. Revenge didn't feel like I imagined. It wasn't fire or fury. It was clarity. Justice. As Lena left the stage under a storm of flashing cameras and accusations, I realized something. She had spent years crafting the perfect illusion. But illusions only work until the truth learns how to market itself. And that day, the truth had gone viral. The storm that hit BrightWave didn't pass. It devoured. Within a week of the exposé, Lena's world collapsed faster than even I imagined. Atlas Tech terminated their contract. The investors froze funding. Former employees began to speak publicly, confirming what the article had exposed: intimidation, data manipulation, and lies. BrightWave's name, the name she stole, became poison overnight. I watched from a distance, not with joy exactly, but with something deeper. Closure. The final blow came from the legal side. The court ruled in my favor after reviewing the evidence trail I'd pieced together. Every timestamp, every rerouted payment, every forged signature. My ownership stake was restored, BrightWave's assets were seized, and Lena was banned from directing a company for 5 years. Marcus cut a deal, of course, sold her out to save himself. Fitting, I thought. That's how snakes survive, by shedding skin. But Lena didn't show up for the final hearing. Word spread that she'd left LA, quietly, maybe for good. As for me, I didn't take BrightWave back. I didn't need to. The brand was tainted, and I had already built something better. Novapulse grew faster than I could have planned. Clients returning, reporters calling, even former BrightWave staff asking to join. Every contract I signed, every campaign I launched, felt like rewriting history on my own terms. One evening, as I stood in my new office overlooking the city skyline, I noticed something. Across the street, the old BrightWave sign still glowed faintly, half of its lights flickering, struggling to stay lit. I smiled. That glow was a perfect metaphor. Remnants of a stolen empire still trying to pretend it hadn't burned out. Lena built her success on my silence. She thought cutting me out would erase me. But she forgot something every marketer should know. You can bury the person, but not the story. And this story had found its audience. Now, when people talk about BrightWave, they don't talk about her. They talk about how one man was blacklisted, and became the competition that destroyed the blacklist. That's poetic justice. Because the truth didn't just set me free, it made me unstoppable. Clap aboard if you've ever been betrayed, blacklisted, or underestimated. This one's for you. Tell me in the comments, what's the biggest comeback you've ever made after someone tried to cut you out? And if you want to see more stories of revenge, redemption, and power plays that hit way too close to home, Briefcase Fire subscribe, and let's keep rewriting the rules together. Because sometimes, the sweetest revenge is success they can't claim anymore.